Talking Lead, and we are at the Big 3 East event in Daytona, and I'm here with our good buddy Mikey Hartman with Hartman Optics and CAA Tactical. And Mikey, you've heard him on our podcast before. He's talked about the Hartman Optic, so we're going to get a close-up here and let you guys actually see it and have Mikey go through that. And then we're also going to be talking about the new Ronies that CAA has. So Mikey, let's start off with the Hartman Optic we got here.
Okay.
So our viewers are familiar with they listen to the podcast. Now they can actually visualize it. They can see it. So tell us about it.
Well, do they think you're better looking in person?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So we'll talk a little bit about the sight.
And the hair. They love the hair.
Thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
So real quick, Reflex sights, what's its job, basically? We've had Reflex around the world for probably 30 years, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. We started in the IDF in the late 80s, early 90s. We started bringing in our first Reflex sights. Mm-hmm. Basically, it was to simplify Yeri, to simplify shooting. Yeri's shooting in Hebrew.
Yep.
Instead of having a back sight and a front sight, you have a red dot. So it simplifies the act. It's much quicker to put a red dot on the target than to line up your sights.
Right.
So it made us faster shooters. The problem in Israel didn't make us a better shooter. We were faster, but not better. So we wanted to make a Reflex sight that's better. I tried to take my experience of building the shooting school of Israel and putting all of that into the sight. So this is what we tried to do, and I'll go over it real quick. One, we did the largest window to give us the largest field of view. That is always an issue here in America because people feel that field of view is not relevant on a Reflex sight. They think because we shoot with two eyes open, the size of the window is nothing, it's not important. I disagree respectfully.
Right.
Three major reasons. One, when you're shooting at long distances. Two, when you're shooting at small targets. And three, when you're left eye dominant, you have a tendency to close the other eye. You do not shoot with two eyes open, you close one eye. But the fourth reason is the strongest reason, especially when you're shooting at night. When you're shooting at night, you put a night scope here behind it. Mm-hmm. Now, your left eye is now not relevant when you're shooting two eyes open. It means nothing. And everything that has to do with field of view is the size of your window. The larger the window, the more field of view you have at night. The smaller the window, the smaller field of view you have. And that's the reason we made the largest window in the market today.
So for your backup optics, where you're going night vision or whatever,
magnifier, yeah.
The magnifier, it's going to actually enhance it and make it a better sight for you.
100%. What happens when you're shooting at night, and let's say I had a different Reflex sight, and I had one with a small window. Mm-hmm. What would happen when I put my night vision on and I look through that night, what I'm going to see in my field of view is very, very small, because what eventually makes your field of view is the exact size of the window. So if I have a night scope here and I'm looking with that green that you have at night, right, and you're looking through a night scope, I'm going to see the exact diameter of my window. Nice. So the bigger it is, the more I see. Right. The smaller it is, the smaller I see. Okay, that's one thing. Well, let's talk about the activation buttons here real quick, if we're talking about the back.
Right.
We put in the rear because we wanted both left and right-handed people to have access to them. A lot of people in America put them on the left. We didn't want to put it on the left because 89% of the world are right-handed people, meaning the left side of the sight rubs against my body, rubs against my equipment. So we wanted this to be very clean and not have anything here, so it wouldn't by accident turn it on or by accident turn it off.
Right.
So that's the reason we didn't put it on the left. We didn't put it on the top because it's hard to press buttons on the top. We didn't put it on the right because you don't know what you're pressing, and the same problem for the left-handed shooters, so we wanted to put it on the back. Right. But what did we do differently than the other companies? Yes, sir. We angled the activation buttons. We put a 20-degree angle on the side, on the activation buttons, and we moved the activation from the middle to both the right and left. These are identical buttons. So now, even if I have a night scope here or a magnifier here, and I'm wearing gloves, I have access to the buttons. So now, the one weakness that a rear panel had, which was having a night vision on it, there's no weakness anymore. So we took that away. Understood?
Right.
So that is two things we spoke about. Let's real quick. We'll talk about.
Gives you access when you got the
gloves on, right and left, even when it's blocked. Right. So that's the idea.
Exactly.
So another thing that we did here, that we tried doing it different inside the sight, we wanted to make it a very smart sight. So because it's a battery, works with battery, it uses electronics. Mm-hmm. We put two different batteries inside. We have an internal battery and an external CR123 battery. The internal battery, and that's kind of unique, it's actually rechargeable. So we put in a USB port inside of the sight.
Just your standard USB?
Yeah, you can take your, while you're driving to the range, you can pull your cable out of the cell phone and you can plug it in to your sight. And just by doing this thing, you are now charging the sight. I'm using a portable battery, but you can do it in a lighter in your car.
That's a great example right there. You got a portable battery, you're out in the field, you're not going to have your car, possibly.
Real cool. So now I'm just charging the battery and I'm not even doing anything. So the way the battery system works, after the first one is done, it automatically goes to the CR123. But I could physically take out this battery now and shoot without the battery. We can do that later, and we'll do that.
Okay.
So that's kind of a new tool, but if a new toy. But if we're talking about the USB, now try to imagine taking this, instead of putting it into a battery, I plug it into my computer. Now, we built in an interface program into the site, so now that I can actually plug this into a computer and change the functions that we have in the site. The guy can customize it and make it his own site, instead of me, the manufacturing, making it for him. So basically what happens, he takes a special cable that we give him, he plugs it into his computer with software that we give him, and then a screen will pop up.
Just standard USB kind of thing?
Yeah, the same cable.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
And he puts it into the computer, and there'll be a screen, and I'll show that to you before you go.
Okay.
And he's able to change the functions of the site.
Okay.
It's kind of a cool thing.
So
we'll
you
show
got a smart site. Anything you plug into computers nowadays, they call it smart. So
I don't know why no one thought about it before, but we did a patent on it, which was good.
There you go. You're thinking ahead.
So another kind of cool thing that we did here, we put in two motion sensors inside the site.
Okay.
One, a very sensitive one, knows that the site is horizontal, and when it's on, when we turn on the site, it's the only site in the world that knows when you're shooting. So when you're shooting, it turns on, and then when I go off horizontal, after a time period that we say 10 minutes, 10 seconds, or any time you put on your interface, it turns off. And when I shake it, it won't wake up. I hit a bumpy road on the road, won't wake up. I'm running.
As long as it's past.
But once I pick it up,
level.
it turns on. I go over 30 degrees, it turns on. Either from here to here, or from here to here, makes it turned on.
Right.
So I never have to turn off the site, ever. The site will turn off when I'm done shooting. When I am shooting, it's on. Now there will be those that say, hold on, what happens if I'm shooting down? By pressing the middle button and the left button, I actually turn off the tilt motion sensor.
You override that?
Yeah, I override it, and now it's not there anymore. It won't go to sleep when it goes off. So you can do that as well, or in the interface, or by pressing the buttons. So we have two different motion sensors. We also have a memory chip inside that when the site does wake up, it wakes up to the same brightness level it was on before it went to sleep.
So it remembers the setting.
Even if it took 2 years later.
You don't have to reset it.
You have your own one you like, it goes to that as well.
Okay.
Another cool thing that we did with the reticle itself, if you take a look inside, I don't know if you can see that, inside the reticle you'll see a dot and two lines. I know it's kind of hard to do it with a camera. You see anything? No, you're going to have to play with the focus.
There we go.
Now you see there's a dot and two lines?
Right.
Those lines are for balancing. So if I'm off cant and I go off, then I know I'm crooked and I fix myself. Okay, so that adds for accuracy as well. Okay. Now, when we want to do the sleep mode, we'll do it like this. Take this for a second in your hand. Right. Look down, and you'll see the reticle, correct?
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't come out, it's not active. Nope. And after like 10 seconds, hopefully it's on the 10-second mode and not 10 minutes, it'll turn off. Tell me if you see it going off in another 5 seconds.
Yep.
It went off.
It's off.
Shake it a little bit.
We've got some here.
Now pick it up, and then it goes back on.
Okay, yep.
So,
just like that.
Yeah, so when you were shaking it, it wouldn't wake up, and then you go like that, it turns on
when
again.
I broke the 30 degree, it came on.
Correct. So so you never have to turn it off ever. It'll turn off by itself when you're done with it.
Right.
Okay? So we have the sleep mode inside, we have the special reticle. The reticle itself, the dot and the two lines, it's also, if we take this site and we do what we call but I want to show it to you.
All right, so what we're doing now,
It's called a parallax test.
doing the parallax test, okay?
Okay, now what I need you to do is look, take your hand off, okay, so nothing's touching. You see that the dot is lined up on that wooden metal target?
Right.
Now if you move your eye to the left and to the right, and then up and down in all the window, you see that the dot stays on the wood.
Right.
So that's what parallax or zero parallax means. You want to be able to move your eye all over the window,
right?
But the dot stays on the target in any case. Okay, there'll always be a slight movement.
Yep.
But that's the idea. So that's what's called parallax. If you take another site, now why was that so challenging here? If you notice, your eye could move in a lot of places in the window because the window is so large. Mm-hmm. So then it becomes doubly hard to have a site that it doesn't move because you have so many options with your eye to move so far from the center, up and down and right to the left, that there should be some movement. So this is what we worked very hard on with the diamond turning technology to make it more accurate.
More accurate.
Why does that make it more accurate? I want to be very clear here. If you would move your eye and the dot would also move, not on the window, on the target, but the barrel is not moving. That means the round's not moving. That means now, if I'm aiming here,
right,
and then I move my eye somewhere else in the window, and now I'm aiming here, and I will now physically aim differently. I will move the gun to put my gun on the target again,
right,
and then my group size gets bigger. I actually move. There's actually movement of the round. So because of that, it's very important that you get to as near zero parallax as possible, so the dot does not move when you're going up and down and right and left. Never in your hand, always on a table.
Yep.
Because my hand is moving.
Right.
Always when you guys test parallax, always do it on a stationary that you're not touching it. Okay? Because that's the only way. You can never do it in your hand because your hand's never that steady. Okay? Even if you try, if you do like this, after 10 seconds, watch, I want to show you something.
All right.
The sight will turn off. Okay? Now it's horizontal,
right,
but it's steady. Okay?
It's not moving.
Yeah.
No movement.
So after 10 seconds, it should turn off, and it could be shaking because of the wood. It's very sensitive. Turned off. Now, if I just do this, right?
Right.
It'll turn on again. That's how sensitive it is. So that when it's horizontal, incredibly sensitive motion sensor kicks in, and just by touching it, it turns on.
Wakes it up. That's
why in your hand, if you try to make it fall asleep, you can never do it. Yeah. Just that small movement that you have here, it won't fall asleep. Okay? But on a table, when you're not touching it, it can fall asleep. You understand?
So, I mean, that extends your battery life.
That's the idea.
If you're working out, you take it off your weapon, and you set it down, you forget about it, it's going to go off, so you don't have to worry about your battery running down. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you've also got the backup battery.
CR123.
CR123. So it's running off this one mainly, and when that one dies, then that one will kick in.
Correct.
Backup.
So I can take out the battery, and once I take out the battery, it should, most sites, turn off. Not ours. When you take out the CR123 battery, sight's still on.
Sure, because you've got the internal.
Correct.
And it's charged.
Yes, sir.
Yep. That's awesome.
So I don't even need a battery to shoot. So that saves you some time also. So when you're going to the range, you just charge it on the way there.
Just a fail-safe.
Yeah.
Kind of,
backup. It's a backup.
Yeah.
We call it a backup CR123 battery. Not another battery. It's a backup battery. Okay. So that's how we do it. Now I got to show you something. You're going to be the first person in the world that sees it.
Oh, let's see this.
So no one has seen this.
Another exclusive from Talking Lead.
Now, this is the interface screen.
Okay.
Okay. So you take the cable, you plug it into your sight. Okay.
I can't tell if you can see that.
So basically, what you see here, you take your sight, you plug it in. You then pick the port name, and you say connect to sight. Then you're able to change any and all features in the sight. You can enable and disable the PTT. The sleep mode, which is on 10 minutes, you can see it says 10 minutes. I can go up and put up the time and make it as many minutes as I want, wherever I want. And then there's a secondary sleep mode, which is at 10 seconds. I can change that as well to as many seconds as I want. Okay?
Nice.
Then we have the motion sensors. We have two. We have the tilt one and we have the horizontal one. I can enable, disable each one. I can then, we did not speak about this at all, but we have a low battery indicator. After, when there's 2 hours left, 120 minutes, the reticle will start to blink. And it will let me know I need to recharge my sight or change the battery. The 120 minutes I can change to any minutes I want. Then there's the indicator interval that it reminds me every 10 minutes that I have to change the battery. So that starts to flash faster and faster until you change it. That 10 minutes can be changed as well. I can put it in and know what my battery level is, how much battery I have left in the sight. I can then change the brightness levels out of all 5 settings. And I can make them as bright as I want or as weak as I want, and I can put them in. And once I'm done, I press exit set mode and I'm done. And now my sight was now customized to what I wanted.
Nice. And that's all just plugging it in.
Yep.
Smart optics.
Yeah.
Love it. Parallax. Micro-Roni, baby. Beautiful.
Way to go, Paul.
Turn your Glock into a machine. Love the speed. Love the sight.
It is running.